Hi everybody, my name is Tracy Southwick and I'm the owner and founder of Heights of Health in Houston, Texas. Today I'd like to share with you some of my thoughts on mosquito prevention. It's the hot topic this year with the fears of Zika virus and still lingering West Nile virus, and everybody seems to be talking about slathering their bodies with mosquito repellent and insecticides. And there are some negative repercussions, so I want to talk about what we can do to help mitigate the effects of those chemical sprays and what maybe are the least damaging and least harmful kinds of sprays that we can use or repellents that we can use. So I'm going to talk about pyrethroids first. Pyrethroids are actually the most commonly used, most commonly used spray. They're actually an insecticide. Pyrethroids are made from chrysanthemum flowers, and a lot of people say, oh, they're natural, they're derived from chrysanthemums, but they are very, very toxic. So they're used in bug sprays, bombs, lice treatments, pet flea products. When you get clothes that are treated, they are actually treated typically with a derivative of a pyrethroid. Home mosquito systems, which are really common in Houston, and humid, high mosquito areas commonly use pyrethroids as their mosquito spray. So it's actually an insecticide. It's not a repellent. It kills the mosquitoes on contact. So what do they do that's not good for us? Well, they're endocrine disruptors. They're actually estrogenic, which means they can contribute to breast cancer. They can contribute to any kind of hormonal imbalance. They're toxic to our nervous systems. They're neurotoxins. They are carcinogenic, which means they can cause cancer. And we're overusing them so much that it's actually causing superbugs, bugs that are resistant to pyrethroids, to start becoming stronger and more prevalent. So of all of the ones I'll talk about today, this is probably the one that I would recommend the least. DEET, another popular one. DEET is commonly used just as a mosquito spray. It is very effective in terms of repelling mosquitoes. It doesn't kill them, it repels them. It does have a strong odor and it melts plastic and rubber, so that's kind of scary. It's neurotoxic as well, just like pyrethroids, can cause motor defects and learning memory issues. It's actually more toxic when it's in combination with other things. So a lot of people don't realize it's not just the DEET you're putting on your skin. You're putting DEET plus all of the inert or non-active ingredients that are in that DEET on your skin, which is the largest organ in your body. So you're absorbing all those chemicals, and actually DEET continues to be absorbed in the skin hours after application. So it's important not to use things like this unless you absolutely need them. Don't use over a 30% strength. DEET comes all the way up to 100% strength. That has nothing to do with its efficacy. It has to do with how long it will repel mosquitoes. Remember that. It does not have to do with efficacy. 30% DEET will actually repel mosquitoes for 8 hours or so. So you shouldn't need a stronger, more potent version of DEET. And there's no reason to ever use over 50%. In Canada, they actually don't even allow the sale of anything over 30% because of the toxic effects on the human body. The third that I'm going to talk about is also a repellent. It's not a pesticide. It's called picaridin or icaridin. It's been used in Australia and Europe for over 20 years. It's sold as Natrapel, Sawyer, and Avon Skin So Soft. I'm not saying I recommend those products. Those are just the ones you typically see on the counter. It's a derivative of pepper. It's not a neurotoxin, and it's not carcinogenic as far as we know. And things that are typically allowed in Europe are going to be under more stringent guidelines. More stringent guidelines. So you can feel a little bit safer using things like that. It's less toxic to fish and birds, which is a good thing. And the only negative effect that I've been able to find is that it causes stress on the liver. So the liver still is having to detoxify this chemical, but it's nothing like you would see with the DEET or the pyrethrum. Another thing to think about, just like I talked about with the DEET, is look for the non-active or the inert ingredients. Those are things that are added to make it more potent or to smell better or to spread on your skin better, and a lot of times they can be very toxic in and of themselves. The fourth one I'll talk about, and the last one, is actually oil of lemon eucalyptus. So all four of the ones that I'm talking about today, all three of the repellents that I have talked about today, including this oil of lemon eucalyptus, are CDC and EPA approved for West Nile virus. They've been proven to be effective against the mosquitoes that carry malaria and other very damaging and dangerous diseases. So this one is the only one that's 100% natural. It offers over 6 hours of protection for 20 to 30% strength. So under that, if you're going to go out for maybe an hour, hour and a half, you could get away with 10%, but you really want to do 20 to 30% to get that long-acting repellent activity. It does not mix well with water, so if you get the straight lemon eucalyptus, it works really well if you mix it with witch hazel, which, by the way, is good for your skin, and so is olive oil. So you can mix it with olive oil as well and just spread it on your skin, or put it in a spray bottle and spray it on your skin. It's not recommended for children under 3. That's basically because it just hasn't been tested on children under 3. It can be an eye irritant. All of these can be irritating to the skin or the eyes, by the way, but it has not been tested with children like the other ones have. It does have a strong smell, as you can imagine by the name, oil of lemon eucalyptus. But again, look for the toxic non-active ingredients. So you're better off making your own. So what are the other side effects of these, especially the pyrethroids? Because those are the ones, whether we like it or not, we're being exposed to more than anything. Pyrethroids kill good bugs. They're the things that are out there killing the bees, the honeybees, the ladybugs, the beetles, the earthworms. They get in the soil and stay in the soil. They build up over time. And if they do wash off, they're washing off into our water supply, and they don't get filtered out. So we're bathing and drinking this water that has pyrethroids in it. Pyrethroids kill fish and other aquatic creatures. They kill bees again. They're more dangerous for children and pets. Children tend to be, as do your pets, tend to be on the ground, rolling around. Think about it. If you've got a system in your backyard, you may not be out there when it's blowing out the pesticides, but it's on the grass, it's on the ground. Your kids are rolling around, they're walking around barefoot. Your largest pores are on the bottoms of your feet. If you have a swimming pool, it's creating a film of that toxin on the top of your swimming pool every single time it goes off. And it builds up. Long-term repercussions are unknown, and we already know the short-term repercussions are not so good. So these are some things that we're not aware of, or you may not be aware of, exposures that we're getting to these pyrethroids. We don't know when this is happening usually, but it does. We are getting sprayed from above. It's called aerial spraying, and areas where high mosquito populations are found, or mosquitoes with West Nile virus, those kinds of things, they will fly planes over and spray the area with pyrethroids, amongst other chemicals, to try to bring down the mosquito population. It's just like how they drive through our neighborhoods with the trucks and spray out the pyrethroids or the other chemicals. I used to chase after them, and you probably did too if you grew up in Houston, on my bicycle. So I can only imagine how much I was exposed to as a child. So we've got the truck and aerial spraying. Foggers, the home foggers that you use maybe in your garden on the bushes before you have a party, those are usually pyrethroids. They're insecticides regardless, and they do cause damage to us. They usually act on the nervous system of the bugs, which means they're probably going to act on our nervous systems as well. Lawn and home bug treatment. So if you're getting your house sprayed for roaches, call the office and we can give you the names of people that are very good at using natural alternatives that are not harmful to the environment, not toxic to you, not toxic to your kids or your pets, and they're very effective. Trust me, I've used them. Sunscreen with repellents, another one that we have to be careful of. Sunscreen. The problem with sunscreen is you have to reapply it so often that you're getting more and more exposure to the repellent. So don't use those together. Use them separately. And put your sunscreen on first, then the repellent on afterwards. because you don't want the sunscreen to wipe off the repellent. Mosquito coils have over 70 chemicals in them, and you're breathing them in when you're burning those coils, so not the best option. Mosquito systems, like I talked about, those usually go off 2 to 3 times a day, and they're just dousing your yard with chemicals. Airplanes, hotels. Oh, back to airplanes. When you fly, especially if you go to a tropical climate, they will often, because of the World Health Organization, they will often say, we are going to spray the plane with pesticides. And the flight attendants will walk through the aisles with pesticides and spray the entire plane. So if this happens to you when you're flying, what I do is I just cover my head with a blanket, and my children, and they know they're not allowed to come out till I tell them that they can come out. And then I wipe down the surfaces. We use, just get some natural baby wipes and bring them with us, and you can wipe down the surfaces like your eating tray, your, armrests and those kinds of things. And I'll tell you in a few minutes about what you can take to help mitigate the exposure to those chemicals. Hotels are very frequently sprayed. Again, in tropical climates, you're going to get a lot more exposure because, of course, they don't want you to see roaches and mosquitoes in your room. Non-organic fruits and vegetables, of course, are sprayed with pesticides frequently, and GMO produce. GMO produce is genetically modified so that it can endure large quantities of pesticides and herbicides. So there's a lot of residue on GMO produce. So how do we detox? How do we get rid of these toxins? Well, then these pictures show you some detox foot baths. Those are a great way to detox, and a really icky looking way, but they do help because, again, the pores on the bottom of your feet are your largest pores in your body. It's a great way to pull toxins out through the feet. How do we do it other ways? You can detox with a far infrared sauna. You get 6 to 7 times more toxins out through your sweat by using a far infrared sauna than you do by sweating alone. It's a wonderful way to detox in a very short time, and it does a lot of other wonderful things. Epsom salt baths, use organic Epsom salt, great way to pull toxins out, especially that are close to the skin, heavy metals included. Very relaxing because those Epsom salts will actually infuse magnesium into the system as well. Liver cleanses, frequent liver cleanses, and by frequent I mean couple times a year, is a great way to take the load off the liver so the liver can act more efficiently. The homeopathics that we carry that I love for pesticides are Agricord, Toxcord, and Medicord. I take those. I always take Agricord with me when we fly, especially when we go to a tropical place and I'm being exposed to pesticides. A lot of times I'll know that I am because I said it works on the nervous system. When it's working on the nervous system, that causes a lot of anxiety, a lot of insomnia, nervousness, those kinds of things. And I'll find if a place has been heavily sprayed, my family and myself will be up all night long, just buzzing and just feeling anxious and yucky and horrible when we're in the room. Once you leave the room, you tend to get better. But you can take that and it will help get the pesticide residues out of your system. NAC stands for N-acetylcysteine, which is a wonderful detoxifier for the body. It helps improve glutathione levels and your body's ability to detoxify. And of course, loads of pure water. So I hope you got some good information out of this, and I don't mean to say these things to scare you. I just want you to be aware of what's in your environment and what you can do to help, again, mitigate the effects of pesticides on your system. Next webinar will be about Zika and West Nile. Actually, it's really going to be more about learning how to strengthen your immune system, which will be important for preventing any kind of illness. But of course, if you get exposed to these viruses, you want to have a strong immune system. So I'll talk about what you can do to help strengthen that. Thank you again for joining me. Have a great week.